You know, you look at an enterprise security budget today, the multi-million-dollar firewalls, the zero-trust architecture, the massive compliance teams.
Oh, yeah, it's a huge investment.
Right. And the basic assumption is always that, you know, buying more, heavier Vox is going to make you safer. But today is April 10th, 2026.
And things have changed.
Yeah, drastically. Because if you are running a business or managing a team or just like trying to navigate your digital life right now, you might be staring at that massive pile of expensive locks and realizing something pretty deeply unsettling.
Which is that you don't actually feel secure at all.
Exactly. And that's exactly what we're going to get into today. Welcome to the deep dive. Our mission today is to unpack this incredible, really critical follow-up report by GRC Consultant Alex Seven. It's called Cyber Threats Accelerated.
And it really is a wake-up call. I mean, we've kind of hit a wall in how we conceptualize defense. Because last year, the industry had this collective realization that cyber threats were accelerating.
Right, everyone was kind of freaking out.
Right. Yeah, and organizations reacted the only way they knew how, expanding their budgets, buying more tools. But what Seven's new report reveals is what happened next. The scary truth is that the attackers didn't just speed up.
They operationalized that speed.
Yes, and they did it significantly faster than governance, risk, and compliance programs, GRC programs, could possibly keep up. So now we have this widening gap between threat speed and governance speed.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the narrative through line here is really about why we don't feel secure anymore. And the report argues it's because the fundamental nature of a cyber threat has shifted.
Right. It's no longer an isolated event.
Right. It's a continuous environmental condition now, and that is being driven entirely by the weaponization of AI. There is this quote in the report from a SaaS company that I couldn't stop thinking about.
Oh, the one about responding to incidents.
Yeah. They said, we're not responding to incidents anymore. We're operating inside them. I mean, what does that actually look like for a security team on a random Tuesday?
Well, it means phishing is just constant background noise now. I mean, in the past, we treated cyber risk as something that happens to you, right? Like a phishing campaign launches, and your team responds.
You trigger a playbook.
Exactly. You trigger a playbook, you isolate the threat. But today, you are operating inside a compromised environment by default.
Because AI has basically made these attacks repeatable and practically indistinguishable from legitimate behavior.
Right. It's automating the reconnaissance.
In the execution. There's this anecdote in the report about a finance executive, and they approved a massive transaction after a live voice call with someone who sounded exactly like their CFO.
Yeah, that case is wild.
It's terrifying. I mean, it had the right tone, the right urgency, the right context. And the craziest part, there was literally no malware involved.
None at all.
It was just human trust, manipulated at scale by AI.
What's fascinating here is how AI changes the mechanics of the intrusion. Previously, an attacker had to spend weeks scraping LinkedIn, reading public earnings transcripts, analyzing stolen emails just to mimic a CFO's style.
Which takes a lot of time and effort.
Right, but now, large language models and deepfake audio synthesis just ingest that data and generate real-time deception in seconds. They don't need to hack the system if they can just automate hacking the human.
Which makes me think, the weather. It's a weather analogy. We are still treating cyber threats like a sudden thunderstorm, right? We can just run inside and hide until it passes.
But the entire climate has permanently changed.
Exactly. So here's my pushback, or I guess my question on this. If the data tells us that humans are mathematically guaranteed to fail against this kind of AI-driven deception eventually, why are organizations still wasting so much time and money on phishing simulation tests?
That's a great question.
Shouldn't we just, assume the human at the keyboard is already compromised?
Well, yes. And that's exactly the GRC gap the report highlights. Current training programs operate on this outdated assumption that humans will eventually catch the deception.
Right, if they just watch enough training videos.
Exactly. But AI operates on the assumption that a human will eventually fail. So GRC has to move beyond just security awareness. You have to move into control design for human failure.
What does that actually look like?
It means mandatory out-of-band verification. If a request to wire funds comes in via email or a voice call, the system literally mandates that you verify it through a completely separate, secure channel.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and it also means deploying really advanced behavioral anomaly detection. The system needs to know when an account is acting weird, even if the password was right.
Right, so we just assume the human is a given failure point against AI, which leads perfectly into the next section of the report. Because if internal human failure is a given, Organizations are just relying heavily on external
Oh,
vendors.
massively.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because we think we're offloading the risk, right? But the report says this external reliance creates a massive new blind spot, which is real-time operational dependency.
Yeah. The shift in 2026 is that third-party risk isn't really about whether your vendor is secure anymore.
Right, it's about how much you need them.
Exactly. It's about how dependent your actual business is on them just to function day to day.
And the anecdote they use for this is a healthcare organization that had to completely halt critical operations for hours. And they weren't even breached.
No, it's literally just a sauce outage.
Yeah, a cloud vendor they relied on just went down. And the issue was that they had all this operational dependency without any actual visibility.
Well, that's the reality check for GRC right now. Third-party risk management, or TPRM, still focuses on these massive annual questionnaires.
Which is wild to me. It's like stressing out over the locks on your front door, but completely ignoring the fact that the power plant supplying your entire house just went offline.
That is exactly it. A questionnaire tracks compliance on the day it was filled out.
Yeah.
It tracks compliance, not actual resilience.
But wait, let me push back on this a little bit. If a mid-sized organization relies on like thousands of indirect dependencies and APIs, is it even realistic to ask a GRC team to map every single service dependency?
I mean, no.
Where do you even draw the line? It sounds impossible.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's not about mapping everything. It's about mapping your critical services. You have to align vendor risk with actual business impact scenarios.
So like patient intake at a hospital.
Exactly. You trace the dependencies just for that specific function. Because the biggest risk isn't a targeted breach anymore. It's a mundane disruption in a vendor that you just didn't model for.
And of course, because we are so deeply interconnected and reliant on these third parties, the threat actors have totally caught on.
Oh, they've optimized for it.
Yeah, they've weaponized this exact fragility at scale.
Which brings us to the aftermath economy. Ransomware as a fully matured business model. It really is an ecosystem now in 2026. I mean, we're talking tiered pricing models.
Wow.
Yeah, affiliate programs where different hacking groups specialize in different parts of the attack. They even have negotiation support services for the victims.
Wait, really? Like customer service for getting extorted?
Literally, yes.
Yeah.
24/7 support. But the major shift here is that it's no longer just about encrypting your files.
Right, they steal the data first.
Yes. It's about data exfiltration, creating immense regulatory pressure and causing reputational damage.
There's a story in the report about a manufacturing firm, right? They got hit, and their IT team actually did everything right, technically.
Yeah, they restored operations from offline backups in under 48 hours.
Which sounds like a win. But the attackers had already leaked their proprietary data, so it triggered this massive regulatory scrutiny, and customers started fleeing.
Because getting the systems back online isn't the finish line anymore.
Right. The financial impact actually hit them after the IT team said they were fully recovered. So what does this all mean?
It means the entire goalposts have moved.
Yeah, I mean, my analogy here is that this isn't a smash and grab home invasion anymore. This is a highly coordinated corporate hostile takeover.
That's exactly what it is.
So if getting systems back online isn't the finish line, are companies just completely misunderstanding what a cyber incident actually costs?
I think they are. They're calculating hourly downtime, but they are completely missing the cost of the aftermath. Surviving the aftermath is the actual finish line now.
So what does GRC have to do to fix that?
GRC must integrate legal, PR, and compliance directly into their incident response plans from minute one.
Yeah.
You have to have predefined regulatory workflows before the breach even happens.
Okay, so we're getting squeezed by these ransomware syndicates from the outside, but the report goes into how we're also getting squeezed by stuff we're doing to ourselves.
Yes, the internal disconnect.
Right. We are mismanaging the internal environments we think we control, like the cloud. And at the same time, we're getting battered by massive external forces we can't control.
Like geopolitics.
Exactly. Let's start with the cloud part. The report says the root issue isn't even misconfiguration anymore.
No, it's a profound misunderstanding of shared responsibility.
Yes. The anecdote about the Cloud Security Posture Management Tool, the CSPM, this company spent all this money on a tool to generate alerts about their cloud environment.
And it worked. It generated perfect alerts.
Right. It told them exactly what was vulnerable. But because the ownership boundaries between the engineering team and the security team were totally undefined, nobody actually triaged the alerts.
It gave them perfect visibility, but zero accountability.
It's literally like installing the world's most advanced fire alarm system. But when it actually goes off, the security team and the engineering team just stand there pointing fingers at each other while the building burns.
This raises an important question, right? How do you fix that internal breakdown?
Well, the report says you have to embed the controls directly into DevSecOps.
Exactly. If a developer tries to push code that violates security, the deployment pipeline itself should just block it. Because in the cloud, speed without governance just equals immediate exposure.
Okay, so that's the internal side. But zooming all the way out, the report talks about geopolitics and how global instability is now directly impacting localized digital environments.
It's a huge shift. We used to treat geopolitical risk as this distant qualitative concept.
Yeah, like something you read about in the news, not something that breaks your servers.
Exactly. But now, military conflicts and economic sanctions manifest immediately in the digital realm.
Like the fintech company in the report. They were operating globally, and a geopolitical conflict broke out overseas. And almost instantly, they got hit with a surge in attack traffic.
And vendor disruptions.
Yeah, and regulatory pressure, all tied directly to this regional tension on the other side of the planet. It feels incredibly overwhelming. I mean, if you're a mid-sized fintech company, how on earth are you supposed to govern a risk that originates from a war zone?
You can't govern the war, obviously. But you have to integrate those macro events into your scenario planning.
So business continuity strategies.
Exactly. Because those global events now have direct, localized operational consequences on your specific digital supply chain. You have to plan for what happens if a region where your vendor operates suddenly goes dark.
Right. Which really brings us to the synthesis of this entire report. We've gone from deepfake CFOs to hidden sauce outages to ransomware as a business model to literal geopolitical ripple effects.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. But the central takeaway from Alex Seven's 2026 report boils down to this one concept: the execution gap.
Yes, the execution gap. Organizations expanded their awareness over the last year, but their GRC maturity simply didn't keep pace with the threat maturity.
They bought the tools but didn't align the processes.
Exactly. The new standard for 2026 isn't about just understanding risk. It's about keeping pace with it. Acceleration is no longer the challenge. Alignment is.
Aligning risk signals to control execution.
Right, and evidence and decision-making in near real time.
Which honestly leaves me with one final pretty provocative thought for you listening right now. We've established that AI is making attacks a continuous condition, right?
Unfortunately, yes.
And we've established that human beings are the guaranteed weak link. We are going to fail against AI deception.
It's a mathematical certainty at this point.
Right. So if humans can't keep up, will the future of GRC require us to employ our own AI agents just to govern our behaviors in real time? Like, will we eventually have to remove human decision-making from digital trust entirely just to survive?
Honestly, it might be the only way forward.
It is definitely something to mull over. Well, that wraps up today's deep dive into Alex Seven's Cyber Threats Accelerated.
It's been a great discussion.
Thank you so much for joining us, for unpacking these evolving threats, and for exploring where governance really has to go next. So whether you're running a business or just trying to stay safe online, keep these alignment strategies in mind. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.